Hello, it's Fernanda Paiva from Hitchhiking Stars here, bringing you some news on the lunations. So today what we're going to talk about is the new moon on the 12th of December. So it might be happening on the 13th of December for some of you, depending where you are in the world. But it is the new moon in Sagittarius. So we've got a new moon at 20 degrees Sagittarius. And what is this new moon about? What is this new cycle about? How can we use these energies in a way that's going to be creative and constructive? Or even what energies can we be aware of so we can prepare beforehand to make the most, or to just navigate as well? So first of all, as usual, I love to talk about the Sabian symbol for the 20th degree of Sag here in this case. And I just love the imagery of the symbols because I'm enjoying more and more to work with images when we think about symbolism, be it tarot symbolism or astrological symbolism as well in this case. So let's think about this imagery. So the image for that degree specific is a child and a dog wearing borrowed eyeglasses. Now that's a bit of a strange image here. Sometimes it is the case, but what this image is portraying here is an element of fantasy, is an element of make-believe, a certain playfulness that on one hand it can be really healthy and really helpful as well, or even fruitful, fertile in some ways, where we can write stories or create things in general, right? Use our imagination, the play and the fantasy at work for the imagination, right? But we also have the other side of this, which is escapism. So this image is really clustering the two sides of this coin here, where we can be playful and imagining something in a healthy way, or we can be lost a little bit on the other side of escapism, trying to move away from reality for its own sake. Like, we don't want to deal with reality. We're wearing our rose-tinted glasses. We don't want to see things as they are. We don't want to see people as they are as well, and things like that. So this is the danger that this image for this degree of the new moon is telling us. Now, I think that's a very interesting image because the chart of the new moon is somehow reflecting this duality as well. So there's something of this image and this, the two sides of the coin that I was just talking about, that's also reflected in the aspects of this new moon. So one of the main aspects of the new moon will be a square to Neptune. So both sun and moon at 20 degrees Sagittarius in square to Neptune at 24 Pisces. So what a square to Neptune says is there is a danger of not seeing reality for what it is, or what people really are trying to tell you or trying to express, or who they are in their life as well, what they're bringing into your life, or situations in general. I mean, when I think about a new moon in Sagittarius, there is a sense of opportunities, or there is a sense of future oriented kind of energy. We want to bring in new opportunities and new things, and there is a sense of adventurous energy as well there. There is a need to expand the horizon. But with a square to Neptune, we also need to be aware of how we do this, and not falling under the risk of, and actually not bringing in unnecessary risks. That's actually what I'm trying to say here. So is the call to adventure going to bring you into this more healthy, playful place where you use the fantasy in as a tool of your imagination to create something of value? Or is it going to bring you into a place of delusion and seeing things in a way that they're not, and potentially putting yourself in dangerous situations as well? So this is a very, very important question for this cycle, for how we bring in the new, how we set intentions for this new moon as well. And I would say with Neptune, it's always important to channel this energy as conscious as you can. So a new moon in Sagittarius is square Neptune at best is us rethinking our spirituality, creating ritual, embracing ritual in our lives, learning new things that will enhance our spiritual life, will enhance our imagination, that will bring in another dimension to life, that will bring in magic into our lives, into our daily lives. That's Neptune. It's sort of injecting that sense of magic, that sense of awe and and transcendence as well. So how can we bring this in a healthier way? I think this is one of the questions that if you're going to take something with you from this voice note, from this video, is how can you inject this sense of magic in a healthy way? How can you bring that? How can you become more aware of this strong need for adventure into imagination? And that's the feeling, with the Neptune and the Sagittarius. So this is one of the main aspects here. It really talks very beautifully to the Sabian symbol of this new moon as well. And as I say, the way to interpret astrology and how I find really useful a method to interpret or to know what to look for when we're looking at a chart is to consider repetitions. So whenever there's something repeating, then that's worth having a look and taking it more seriously, because that message is definitely going to be important. So this is definitely a key element here in this new moon. Now, another thing that I want to talk about in relation to this new moon, well, there are other aspects that this new moon is doing as well. So there is a trine to Chiron. So the new moon is at 20 Sagittarius, as I said, and is trine to Chiron at 15 degrees Aries, as well as the North Node in Aries at 23. So there is something about healing old wounds as well, embedded in this cycle. Letting go, of the Libran tendencies of saying yes when we don't mean, and the boundary issue might become something that we can achieve more insights during this cycle, and even set intentions to achieve more insights on healthy boundaries, how to do healthy boundaries. And this is especially highlighted by Mars also. So planet Mars will be at 13 degrees Sagittarius, and it'll be very close to the moon, or close enough, 7 degrees orb. But it will also be coming to trine Chiron. So Mars rules Chiron because Chiron is in Aries, but it will also be trining that Chiron. So there's something about this lunar cycle being potentially fruitful for learning healthy boundaries. And again, perhaps the invitation for the imagination and the adventure is also the challenge there. How can you do boundaries when you don't see people for who they are, right? In a situation. So that's something for us to reflect, to consider for this new moon cycle, and for our intentions as well during this cycle. So that's an important couple of aspects here from the new moon as well. But there is an entire entire dimension that I want to mention as well about the chart of this new moon, and that is Mercury. So Mercury is at 8 degrees Capricorn, but is just about to go retrograde. So Mercury will be going retrograde on the day after, and is forming a trine to Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is an important planet here in this new moon because it is the ruler of the new moon in Sag. So it is definitely bringing the message of this new moon forward, is giving us a further information about what this new moon can be about, or any advice on how to deal with this new moon as well. And so Jupiter is still retrograde, is at 6 degrees Taurus, but it is forming this long trine with Mercury and Capricorn. And for me, there are two earth signs here. They will both be going retrograde together for a little while. And again, I have the feeling of this new moon that's, is happening in December, is the last month of the year. It is perfect for wrapping up, for rethinking, reimagining, reassessing, thinking about what the year was about. What did you learn this year? That's the Jupiter trine Mercury. What did you learn? What do you want to bring with you into 2024? What are the new ways of thinking or talking to yourself as well? And the new ways of doing business and creating something material as well in the world, because Mercury is in Capricorn. And Jupiter is in Taurus as well. So it is talking about your core values, expanding your relationship to your core values so you can tap into a greater sense of self-worth. But also the trine to Mercury is how can you apply that in a practical way to something that you've been wanting to achieve? What are your goals? What are your objectives? Where is your career? What direction are you taking? Because this Mercury trine Jupiter will be in orb for longer because of the retrogradation, but also and it will repeat again when Mercury goes direct in January. But it's giving us opportunities to think about expansion and moving ahead. How do we want to move ahead? How do we want to validate our work, our service, our role in the world, our role in society? How can we make more money? How can we change your money mindset and feel more deserving? How can we embrace more abundance? That's Jupiter in Taurus. How can we embrace abundance that's aligned with our core values and our spiritual beliefs at the same time as the new moon square Neptune? How can we use our imagination in a more practical way? So those are some of the questions here for you that will be very useful during the cycle. And knowing that we're wrapping up a whole year and that we're getting ready, we're preparing the soil for next year. What do you want to accomplish in 2024? How do you want 2024 to go? So having this Mercury retrograde on the day after of a new moon, I think is a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise to help us reassess everything that we've accomplished and all the things that we want to yet accomplish as well, and how to get there. Remember, there are earth signs, so they're talking about practical things, practical issues. So that's it. It's like practical achievements that are also taking into consideration our beliefs. I think that's something that needs to be very very strong in our minds, in our hearts during this new moon, so we can set the right intentions and take a ride with this energies in a positive way. All right, so this is it. There is also a Venus-Jupiter opposition as I'm looking into this chart as well, and it could be about overdoing things potentially. That's the danger with the Sagittarius New Moon as well, or the Sagittarius season in general. But it's also about getting very, very serious about our value system. I think Venus in Scorpio is tremendously serious about what they value, who they love, and etc. And for those of you that have Venus in Scorpio, you know what I'm talking about. So it is, Mercury is also sextile to that Venus. So I feel that it comes down to that sense of revisiting and thinking about how can we transform our passions and our core values into something tangible, something that we can share with the world, that we can share with others. All right. So this is it. This is what I had to share with you about this beautiful new moon in Sagittarius. I hope that you have a wonderful cycle, that you can make the most with this potentially magical energy of Neptune, but at the same time in a very practical, based on your core value system as well. All right. I am Fernanda Paiva, Hitchhiking Stars, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.